Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Killer Bree Knitter, pro Muay Thai fighter, currently residing in Thailand. But before we jump into that, let's have a word for our sponsor for today's video.
Sponsor for this video is PureBoost. Are you looking for clean energy without jitters and bad side effects? No sugar, artificial sweeteners, or preservatives? With a good source of energy from green tea and B12? Then look no further. Make sure you visit PureBoost.com and check them out today. We use this every day. It's our drink of choice to give us that good pick-me-up in the morning.
All right, welcome back to the show. Today we have a very special guest. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Bree Knitter, professional Muay Thai fighter.
How are you today?
I'm good. It's early Sunday morning in Thailand, so I had to find the right balance of coffee and not too much coffee.
Yeah, it's nighttime here.
Where are you at?
I'm in Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, okay. I saw the riverside. I thought maybe you were in Southern California.
Oh, no. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into Muay Thai.
Let's see. So, funny story. I actually got into Muay Thai on a Groupon. I played college volleyball, so I was always an athlete, and then didn't really have something that I was competing in. And I lived in Spain for almost 6 years, and then when I moved to San Francisco, I didn't really have a thing, and I was having a hard time, and somebody got me a Groupon to a Muay Thai gym, and I hadn't even really heard of Muay Thai. That was near my house, and I went, and from day one, I was hooked. I was like, I want to fight. I started doing double days. It was like love at first sight.
So tell me a little bit about yourself in the training aspect and what goes into that.
So before, when I was living in the States, like I had a normal corporate job, 9 to 5. It was more like a 7 to 3 or 4. And after that, I would go to the gym and train, usually like for 2 to 3 hours a day. Running super important, so I'd usually either do my running in the morning, or I'd plan my days so I could either run at lunch, or sometimes I would run from my office to the gym. In San Francisco, you could go like Embarcadero, or there's all these different routes that you could kind of make it a nice long run to get to training. Yeah, but now that I live in Thailand, it's completely different. So now, like, training is my full-time job. Get up every day around 6, and then we run a 10K at 7. Then training is usually about 8 to 10:30. After that, for afternoon session, we're back at the gym around 3:30 for a short 3K run or so, and then training again from 4 to 6. So training like 5 to 6 hours a day now, as opposed to kind of having to balance like job and training back in the States.
So what's it like living in Thailand versus living here in the States as far as culture and things like that?
In USA, I had a Thai trainer, like Bunkered Fatimai, at Rice Combat. So I had Thai style training, and I mean, coming here, it's really cool to see that like he really does train his fighters like Thailand. But culturally, it's completely different. It's Asia. Thais do things differently, and you kind of have to let go of control a lot of times and realize like they're in control, and you kind of just got to go with the flow. Like you're not always super informed about what's going on. And so I think like the control aspect of fighting is very different. It's kind of like they say you're fighting, okay, maybe you know who you're fighting, maybe you don't. The details are always a little blurry. I'd say that's a big difference over here. And I think a lot of people struggle with that and kind of almost butt heads or let it get to them. I think I've learned that Thai style, sabai, you just got to go with the flow. Yeah.
So as far as it, was it hard to adjust to move from the States to Thailand?
In some ways, yes. In some ways, no. So my first time in Thailand was 2017. And ever since then, like I had the dream of being one of those people who does make the move and got to live here and train full time. And then I came out 3 or 4 times between then and 2020. And then I had saved money and planned to quit my job to move here in the beginning of 2020. And everyone knows how that went. So I kind of had like 4 months there. So, I mean, I knew what I was getting myself into, but I think making the change to another country, like, even though like I am living like my dream, there's definitely like a lot of sacrifice and a lot of things I had to give up. Like, I love California. I love my home gym. Like, even when I left my job, I loved my job. So it was kind of just the adjustment of like letting go of kind of like your Western life. And, but yeah, I know that this is what I wanted to do and it's worth it.
Definitely. I mean, it sounds like, you know, of course, to be any type of athlete professionally is a full-time job and it takes a lot of dedication. But I would imagine being a fighter would be totally different than any other professional sport out there.
Yeah, I think my life, I mean, comparing like volleyball to now, like in college, I guess in like preseason, we would do double days with like 2.5, 3 hour sessions in the morning and then again in the afternoon. So I guess that would be like the most similar. But yeah, it's very grueling. I think like Muay Thai pad work is like next level. You know, I'm not saying baseball is not hard, but it's like very grueling work to hit pads. So yeah, it's pretty different. I think like another thing with like Thai culture is like the way they've always done it is they just like smash and they just go. And it's just like so many hours of intense work. And I think that in America, I don't know if it's better or worse, but I guess there's more rest and it's like, how do you feel? But in Thailand, it's just like, you're just expected to show up and be at every session. So I think that's also, thinking about it, been another adjustment here, like knowing my body and myself and when like I do need some time because it's really intense.
So as far as training goes, do you have certain days that you work on certain elements versus the others?
It's kind of the same. I don't mean to sound negative, but there's times when I'm like, it's like Groundhog's Day. Like every morning, wake up, same thing, same routines of training. They do get a schedule going where some days, like Tuesday, Thursdays, we'll do like more clinch in the morning and not pad work. Saturday mornings, we do strength and conditioning after the long run. And then afternoon is only sparring. But generally, like the sessions day in and day out are pretty much the same. Like we usually, morning is the 10K, and then you jump rope for 20 minutes. And then we do a good stretch, which I really like. And then we do another like 15 minutes or so of shadow boxing. Then we'll usually do like some burnout conditioning, shadow boxing, and push-up stuff. And then after that, we jump in. Everyone's kind of broken into groups, and then there's pad work, bag work, and sparring. So you'll go through those 3 things, whatever group you're in, or whenever your trainer tells you. And then at the end, there's usually a little more clinch, depending on time. And then in the afternoon, we run again after training.
So tell me, what goes into preparing for a fight and kind of getting in that mindset, so to speak, of being able to go out and being in the zone?
That's something I've always played with, and like I'm lucky because I was a college athlete. Like I had a lot of that stuff like built into me, like establishing like a pre-game or a pre-fight routine. Yeah, and then more recently, like I've been doing like a lot of like I worked with a mind coach for a little bit, and I've been doing like meditation and kind of generally trying to, because it can be a really stressful experience and it is scary. And I think everyone gets scared or has that fear. So it's kind of just like being able to like harness that and control it, and being like, I try to enjoy the training, and I try to remember like when I get really nervous before the fight or before I'm about to go out, I'm like, this is what you're like supposed to do. This is what you came to do. This is fun. And like in my last fight, I fought 10 days ago, and I think because I was fighting in Phuket and I had a lot of people coming, and I think maybe that was getting to me for whatever reason, because I was more nervous than my previous fight, which was in Lumpini. And then I saw some people in the crowd before they called my name, and I just smiled. And even if you just smile, like, it helps to bring the energy down and remind you like, oh, this is fun. You know, I'm here to have fun, and kind of like letting go of the outcome and trusting God or the universe, like whatever's supposed to happen is going to happen. You get out there, do your best. So I guess just mindset, really.
So what is your favorite fight, and do you have maybe like a certain fight that you'd be looking forward to, or an opponent you'd like to have a fight with?
Okay, good one. Yeah, my favorite fight. I don't know if I have a favorite fight. I just had my 6th professional fight, and I think that one would be my favorite, just because, I mean, like, no matter how long you do Muay Thai, I feel like the more you know, the more you realize, like, the less you know. And so each fight, I just see myself improving. And I fought in the middle of October, and then again on December 1st. And the improvement I saw in myself in those 6 weeks of getting in the ring, it was like, a lot of times, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to watch my fight back. But this one, like, I was excited to watch it back. And like, it wasn't perfect, and I see what I need to work on, but like, I was really happy with like some of the things that I was able to execute. Like, it's completely different training to fighting. Like, I know how to do so many things, and then I get in the ring, and it's like, why did I do all of those things that I know how to do? So it's like, the more you fight, you're definitely better able to execute like a wider variety of your skills. Yeah, so I think that my last fight, probably I'll just call that one my favorite. Hopefully the next one will improve on that. And then opponent-wise, so Judy Humbert, she's from Scotland. She's down here in Phuket. We're actually like friends, acquaintances. We're cool with each other, but we were both having trouble getting fights in the middle of the year. She won Super Championship belt. And then, so we're like, oh, why don't we fight? And we both talked to our teams, and they arranged it. And then I got COVID like 4 days before, and then we rescheduled it for the next month. And then she got COVID right before. So I think at some point, and a lot of people are really looking forward to that fight. And I'm looking forward to that fight. So I hope we can make that one happen. And then I think definitely also, like, I want to be the WBC world champion. So that's, whenever that time comes, that's definitely something that I have my eyes on, and yeah, a fight that I want to see happen.
Definitely very cool. So I do have a question, and I always am very curious about this. The outfit that you guys, well, not so much outfit, but like when you go out and you're dressed to fight and ready to go, I guess they're called headbands, or what exactly is that? And I know that's part of the culture when it comes to Muay Thai. Yeah, so it's called a mongkon, and traditionally they're made of things from the family. Same with the armbands, and they're, I'm not entirely sure, but it's just a tradition that they wear them and bring you luck. It's part of the Y crew. So then the Y crew, I think you've seen, you walk out with your mongkon, and then you seal the ring, which is like to keep out bad spirits or any bad energy, just to seal the ring. And then you do the Y crew, which is like the little dance, and there's many versions of that, and that's paying tribute to your trainer. Yeah, and then I have up there's mine.
a girl from the gym named Nina, who's a friend of mine. She actually makes those. So she asked me like what colors and what design I wanted. So she made me that one, which I've used for 2 fights. In the past, I always used my trainer, Bunker's, back home. But then when I was here, I bought one, the second one that's underneath there. And then I got it blessed, and I brought it to IFMA, like the World Muay Thai Worlds. And that was the only fight I lost. So I don't really have good feelings about that other monk phone. But the one that Nina made me, the black and gold one, that one's brought me good luck. And yeah.
I always thought that was really cool looking. I don't really know why. I guess it's because it's something that in the States you don't really see a whole lot of.
Yeah, unfortunately in the States, Muay Thai kind of to the layman is not super, all of the tradition isn't really like exciting to people. So like even though there are events that are like Muay Thai, they either tell you no white crew or you have like 60 seconds to do a white crew is like basically like we're losing the crowd. Yeah, so there's not as much tradition in USA. I always wore the mongkon because my trainer was Thai. But I think if you're in another gym maybe and they're teaching Muay Thai, but they kind of probably a lot of times have more of like a kickboxing background or they're just not super familiar with Thai customs, it gets kind of left out. But there are a lot of like Farangs, like Westerners and Americans who have a lot of experience in Thailand and who do teach like Thai customs and Thai Muay Thai.
I always found it very, very cool to see. And I don't know if it's because it's totally different than what I'm used to, but I found stuff like that. It attracts my attention. And it's something that here lately I've been trying to get to learn more about just because it's so interesting and it's not the same here as it is there. And when you talk to people, you find out how passionate the Thai people are when it comes down to that. And, I guess for them, that would be, like football or baseball, basketball for us.
Yeah, totally. That's like everyone, maybe like my mom or people who don't fully understand the sport as much as they try. And they're like, why Thailand? And I'm like, it's the motherland of what I'm doing. Like, this is where to be if you're going to do it. And as great as the American Muay Thai scene is, like, there's definitely like limits to it where I think Thailand is more connected to the rest of the world. And also it's like, Bunker trains me like 3 hours a day. He holds my pads and tells me what to do. But like in Thailand, like the whole system is set up around Muay Thai. There's a Muay Thai gym on every other corner. And, it gives a lot of jobs to people. There's small stadiums, there's big stadiums, the gambling, like it's very like enmeshed in the culture. It's like baseball, basketball, and football combined in Thailand. Yeah. So that's definitely different and really cool to be a part of.
Oh, I can only imagine. And I think that's what intrigues me the most about it is it's so different, but it's one of those things where you can kind of understand a little bit without knowing enough by watching things go down and how things happen, from the traditions to, the fighting styles. It's almost like, and I could be wrong, but it's almost like certain areas have different types of fighting styles.
Yes. Areas and I guess more gyms. So like, for example, like FA Group is a very famous gym for like knee fighting style, Muay Khao. But that's in Bangkok, and I think there's all kinds of different style gyms, but in Bangkok. So I think within an area you can find a gym that's a style that you're looking for. I think Singa is kind of a Muay Book. Singa is my gym. Muay Book is like a forward pressure fighter, but not necessarily like Muay Mat style. And Muay Mat would be more like heavy hands and leg kicks. But my gym's very much forward pressure, but also kind of mixing the Femur style, which is like a smart or tricky fighter.
Gotcha. So as far as things to come for you, Once you achieve the goals you're looking for in the career you're in now, is it something that you think you would continue on with, or you think you'd go into a different style of fighting somewhere, or something totally different?
Good question. I moved out here, and then in May I went home and I kind of sealed the deal, sold my car and all my things and got rid of everything. So kind of just, I think it's much more, no doubt, economic to live out here and be able to train full time. So I definitely see myself kind of riding out the remainder of my Muay Thai career out here. And we'll see how, I kind of want to take it as far as I can take it, as long as I'm enjoying it. Bunkered, my trainer back home, he was just telling me he had his last fight at 43. So, there could be many years left fighting. At this time, I don't really think in my gym back home, Chris Carriasso is the owner. And so he's a retired UFC fighter. So there's a big MMA scene, and our gym is more of a Muay Thai gym, rather than the location that he's at. But we still have jiu-jitsu. And so there's that MMA. I know MMA is very big and definitely pays better. And I did grappling and jiu-jitsu for the 2 years of the pandemic on and off, but it's not something that I love. So I don't really see myself transitioning to MMA. Boxing, I think, is another option. I know a friend of mine who's a professional kickboxer. She's transitioning to boxing, and boxing, I know, also pays really well. So we'll see what the future holds. But for now, I really just see myself in Thailand and with Muay Thai.
Very cool. Yeah. And of course, you're still very early in your career, so you've got plenty of time to figure that out. I just always wonder, in a fighter's career, if at some point they see themselves kind of transitioning once they get to a certain point. It's always interesting to see.
Yeah, I think it depends. Tiffany Van Soo, she was at the Apex. She's defended her world title with glory 6 or 7 times now. And so I think she's kind of tapped it out at that point, and it's time to try something new. So I think it depends on where your career goes.
So what do you have coming up in the next couple of months or so?
Kind of how I told you, there's you kind of let go of a lot of control around here. They don't tell me everything, and a lot of times you find out with pretty short notice. My last fight, I think I had 11 or 12 days notice, which is fine. You're training all the time, and really that ramp up period is no more than 2 weeks, because if you're training every day, it definitely gets more grueling, everything. But you're basically fight ready at all times. There was some talks about WBC stuff, so I'm hoping, somewhere it was potentially going to be at the end of this year. Sounds like it's not going to be now, but we only have 2.5 weeks left in this year.
Yeah.
So I think, hopefully be fighting for that WBC belt next year. And then, otherwise, I beat Fossey Tong in March, and she was the #1 ranked Thai in my weight class. So it's been a little difficult for me to get fights. There's definitely no Thais unless Fossey Tong wanted to rematch that I could fight at this point. And then it kind of depends on different Farang girls who are willing or in Thailand. The last girl I fought, she was out here doing a 5-week camp. So it worked out that we were able to get a fight in. But I think definitely I'm fighting 60 to 63 kilo, and it's a little smaller of a pool than there is for the girls down at 52 kilo, the 115, 125, those girls, there's definitely a lot of girls and they can stay really active, but I guess I'll put it in pounds. So between 132 to 139 is where I fight. And there's definitely fewer women. And I think for some, my height is also intimidating. So I'm almost 6 feet tall. So I think a lot of times people are intimidated by that. They're like, no, thank you on that fight. Yeah, so we'll see what we have coming up in the next few months.
Very cool. Well, hopefully you get that title shot soon. That would be very cool to see.
Yeah, thank you.
So I know I found you on Instagram. I did see some stuff for you on your Instagram page as far as for Muay Thai. Is there anywhere that other people can find you and see maybe some training or?
I primarily use my Instagram. I recently started a TikTok, but I haven't gotten super into it. I know just kind of to generate a following, TikTok is really big now. I mean, you can find my fights and other things if you just search my name on YouTube, but I'm really primarily just on Instagram.
Very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking time out of your morning to chat with me. It's been a pleasure. I learned a lot about your passion for Muay Thai and what it took to get you where you are now. And, you know, it looks like sky's the limit from here on out, and hopefully things keep going up for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I appreciate it a lot.